Now, we love to do that as Christians, to say perfect prophetic fulfillment. Find one false prophecy in this entire Bible, and according to its own standard, it's false. That's an amazing gift to have, to say that God has perfect prophetic fulfillment in the Christian scriptures. But here's what's important for us to recognize. You've got atheists like Bertrand Russell and popular atheists today that will actually go to the Great Tribulation passage, and they'll say, look, this is pretty explicit. Jesus says here that this generation will not pass away until all these things be fulfilled. Yeah. And they're right. Jesus did explicitly teach that, and he was talking to that generation. It's such clarity that Jesus has here in the Olivet Discourse about this generation will not pass away till all these things take place. It's such clarity that you even see well-known Christians like C.S. Lewis in his essay called, I'm sorry, forgive me here if I get this wrong, I think it's called The World's Last Night. He talks about the fact that what Jesus has here in the Olivet Discourse, he says, is certainly one of the most embarrassing verses in the Bible. That Jesus clearly knew no more about the timing of his coming than anybody else. And in terms of this is clearly someplace that Jesus got it wrong. You know who said that? C.S. Lewis.
Ouch.
Yeah, C.S. Lewis said that. That, look, this is clear. Jesus clearly, he made a mistake here.
I wonder if he put together the implications of that, given what you just said about Deuteronomy 18.
Well, then that's the key issue. So why is this important? It's important because, look, Jesus is the Messiah. He's a prophet from God. Jesus can't give false prophecy. Jesus does give prophecy in the Olivet Discourse concerning their generation. He uses the near demonstrative when he uses it, this generation, the generation he is there speaking to. And all throughout the Gospels, Jesus uses the terminology, this generation, numerous times. And who's he talking about when he uses that terminology? The generation to whom he's speaking, the people who are in front of him, this generation. He uses it about them. He uses the near demonstrative, this generation. He's talking about things that they were expecting, and Jesus clearly bookends that prophecy in Matthew 24 with this generation will not pass away till all this takes place, and then he finishes the discussion, and this generation will not pass away till all these things take place. My point is look, you get this wrong, and you give unnecessary ammunition to the unbelievers, the skeptics, the atheists who just want to trash the Bible. When you put the Great Tribulation future to us and out of Jesus' context, you are giving unnecessary ammunition to the unbeliever. And the reason why I bring that point up is because actually there are early Christians that use the Olivet Discourse as something that occurred in their past, and they used it as an apologetic and vindication of the fact that Jesus is the Messiah. So when you read like the church historian Eusebius in I think it's book 6 chapter 3 or book 3 chapter 6, I forget which one.
What line? What sentence?
Well, I mean, yeah. Forgive me, guys. I've had a long last 2 weeks. Not everything's working on the uptick right now. Eusebius, church historian, brings up the fact that the early Christians escaped the destruction of Jerusalem and the war between the Romans and the Jews. They escaped it because they were given a prophecy from Jesus as to how to escape, when to escape.
They knew.
And what Eusebius was referring to was the Great Tribulation passage, the Olivet Discourse. So isn't it interesting? My point is this. Isn't it interesting that today Christians will use the Olivet Discourse as something that is about to happen, it's happening in our day, or it's going to happen in our future. And you've got like testimony of like an early Christian like Eusebius saying, actually, this proves that Jesus is the Messiah because it actually happened. And the Christians, knowing Jesus' prophecy in the Olivet Discourse, knew when it was time to flee Jerusalem, and they did escape the war between the Romans and the Jews. And the Christians fled from Jerusalem to a town called Pella to escape the war between the Romans and the Jews, the destruction of Jerusalem, which was a horrifying event in human history.